Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Table Enabled. Today we start a new set of halachas. Shulchan Aruch Yomi, Siman Pei Tet, and Aruch Chaim, Hilchos Tefillah. Until now we've been talking about Hilchos Kriya Shema. We've moved on to Hilchos Tefillah to find out about Davening Shemona Esrei. We'll discuss a lot about the halachas about Shemona Esrei and ultimately an Ian to lean on, the Ian share about more the depth of what Tefillah is all about and some of the finer nuances in Hilchos Tefillah. Halacha Aleph says, Zman Tefillah HaShachar Mitzvah Sheyaskel Imanei Tzachama. The time where technically b'diavad, all right, you're allowed to daven is, Zman Tefillah HaShachar Mitzvah Sheyaskel Imanei Tzachama. L'chadchila, the proper time to daven Shemona Esrei is, everyone's familiar with Vasikin. Vasikin, you start at Neitzach Hama, so Neitzach Hama is the ideal time to say Shemona Esrei for Shachar. Yerucham Hashemesh, as the Gemara quotes in Maseches Brachos, Yerucham Hashemesh, Hashem will see you. You'll see Him. You'll have fear of Hashem with the sun. With the sun, Eitzach Hama is when the sun first makes its appearance. V'mispalel mishalam Shachar v'her pnei mizrach yatsa b'diavad. We know from the Gemara in Megillah, the Gemara says that technically all the mitzvahs that are performed during the day technically begin at Alos HaShachar. Here, the Shulchan Aruch conspicuously uses the word Misha'alam HaShachar ve'her pnei mizrach. Now, if you look in the Gemara, those are two different things. Amud HaShachar basically is daybreak, right? The first ray of light comes into the sky, it breaks the darkness, daybreak. And then there's dawn where Heir Pnei Mizrach, where part of the sky is lit up by the sun. You don't see the actual sun yet, that's Neitzach Hama, but you actually, most of the sky is lit up. That's a later time, Heir Pnei Mizrach. The consensus among Mishnah Berurah seems to paskin that you're not technically allowed to start Shacharis and probably all mitzvahs hayom until Heir Pnei Mizrach. Amud HaShachar is not good enough. Magen Avraham says Amud HaShachar is okay. It seems to be the Psach Halachas, you have to wait to hear Pnei Mizrach. I'm not familiar what the times, if you go to myzmanim.com or something like that, you look for the time and they give you the earliest time for Tefillah is Amud HaShachar or Heir Pnei Mizrach. I'll have to look more into the exact times that they give you on those charts. I'm not familiar with those charts because I don't wake up that early. I don't daven Vasikin. I know there's two times. There's one time 90 minutes before Nates and one time 72 minutes before Nates. I wonder if those two are 90 minutes corresponds to Amud HaShachar and 72 corresponds to Heir Pnei Mizrach. I do remember when I was giving shir on Maseches Yuma that there's a distinction between Amud HaShachar and Alos HaShachar. Heir Pnei Mizrach is a third thing, so we'll leave that for a different time. V'nimshach zmana ad sof arba shows shlish hayom. When can you daven? Tefillah Shachar, you have 4 hours into the day. Kriya Shema, you have 3 hours. We explained Hilchos Kriya Shema, it doesn't exactly mean 3 hours, but Tefillah, you have to be more careful. You have Zman Tefillah. Zman Tefillah is 4 hours into the day, and I'm sure for most people that went to Jewish day school, they know that doesn't mean literally 4 hours, 4 hours of 60 minutes. It depends on the time of year. It's called shows, Zmanios, shows that are depend on, according to the Gra, you measure it based on Tzeitzach Chavim and Alos, and according to the Magen Avraham, you measure it based on Nates and Shkia. According to the Gra, it's Nates and Shkia. According to the Magen Avraham, it's Alos and Seis. I forget exactly which one is which, but there's two opinions in Halacha. So you take whatever that amount of time is, and you divide it into 12, and then you get your Shos Manios, and that's why you have it during time for the Magen Avraham and the Gra. Depending on the year, sometimes it could be more than actual 4 hours of 60 minutes from Alos HaShachar, and sometimes it could be less. So if you don't know what the time is, just Google myzmanim.com or download the app. It was actually a friend of mine from Yeshiva who came up with this app about, 15 years ago. If you ended up making a mistake and you waited till after 4 hours, you could technically daven until chatzos, till midday. You don't have skar tefillah b'zmano, but you do get skar for davening. Rama says, just to make it clear, after chatzos you're not allowed to daven shachris. even though there are some posts that say you have an extra half an hour until 6 hours and 30 minutes into the day, we paskin not that way. And therefore, if you pass chatzos, you should wait till daven mincha, and then we'll talk about tashlumin. You can make up shachris by davening another shmona esrei after mincha. Beis kemish gives manatfila also la'adam lahakdim lepesach chaveiro litin lo shalom. Once time for shachris comes, amud shachar, we're just going to call it amud shachar, but again, it's a big focus on amud shachar, hozah shachar, here up in Mizrach. That time, the first time, once that time comes, you can't go to your friend's door to say hi. Apparently, the minhag was some people would go to other people's houses, say good morning, wake up. If you're waking up for davening, I guess it's okay, but just come to chat with him. Yishum the Shmo Shakadosh Baruch Hu Shalom. The original halacha is based on just to say shalom, say the word shalom aleichem, because that's Hashem's name. To greet with someone else before you read that to Hashem, so daven to Hashem first. So amutar lo mer lo saf for the maritava. You let us say good morning, basically. That's how it translates to Aramaic from Aramaic. It's only mutter if you have to go to a certain place, a certain town, or a certain street. You have to see something. I don't know, your house is being built or something like that, or your real estate manager, you have to see some construction. If you're just going to say good morning to the guy, you're not going there for a different reason. You have to go get milk from the store or something like that. So, even to say good morning, you're not allowed to bow down to him. Some say it's always asur to bow down to your friend. You should be bowing down to Hashem. If you started saying the brachos, which is brachos hashachar, right? Ein lachos kol kach. You don't have to worry so much. Technically, you're allowed to maybe go to someone's house and say good morning. This is only talking about if you go to his door. However, if you go in the street and you're on your way to shul and you meet him, or you're on the way to the mikvah in the morning before you go to shul, you can say hello. Some say you can only say good morning. You can't talk about the news. You can't talk about Liz Truss becoming the Prime Minister of Britain. For those people who know what Britain is, and people who know who Liz Truss is, thinking about starting a new set of videos where I'm gonna take, I get a subscription to Mishpacha magazine, and I'd like to, the Haredi public over here in Telstone, to leave them a little test, current events in Mishpacha magazine, pictures they recognize, comments they have on the critical issues that the Haredi world, Mishpacha magazine ponders. I think their reactions, Haredi reactions to Mishpacha magazine, I think would make it very entertaining, especially with my questions. So you can look, maybe that'll come out soon. Gimel, also the lisazik b'sracha v'leilich l'derech hashi spal tefillah shmona esrei. You're not allowed, the Gemara says, you're not allowed to do your srachov. What is your srachov? Go to work. You're not supposed to go to work before or start traveling, right? You're not supposed to schedule a flight, all right? If you want to fly, don't fly after alos hashachar. First, make sure to daven. Some say, we said before, just like the zakula, if you say brachas hashachar, you can do whatever you want after that. So the same thing applies over here. It's good that there are much to be machmir. The Gemara says, in addition, besides going to work or traveling, you're also not allowed to eat and drink before shachar. As well, maya mutter, you can drink water. L'shtos kodem tefillah bein mechal bein the Shabbos v'Yom Tov. Doesn't make a difference Shabbos v'Yom Tov or during the week. Mutter, if you're drinking things or eating things for medicinal purposes, that's okay. If you're thirsty or you're hungry, Mishnah says harod harbe, you're very hungry, you're ravenously hungry, you're considered a sick person. All this is talking about if you have the ability to concentrate. This is very important. Kavanah during tefillah. We'll talk about exactly what that means. Kavanah during tefillah. That's very important. That kavanah during tefillah. So therefore, even if you're not considered as a chola, or technically, you're not so hungry or not so thirsty, but if you don't eat or drink, you're not going to have proper kavanah for tefillah. I mean, there's a lot of leeway over here that people can be makel for themselves, but technically you're allowed to eat and drink whatever you need in order to have kavanah for that tefillah. If you are someone who could have kavanah, but people normally associate kavanah with tefillah for understanding the milim, the perush on milim. I don't think it's impossible, even if you prepare for 10 hours, to have kavanah for most of the tefillah. I'm going to give you a different explanation of what kavanah and tefillah is. Hey, let's say you began eating before Alos HaShachar, you have to stop. Some say you don't have to stop. This machlokes is based on, if you're Hiskal Beheter, we learned by Kriya Shema, Hiskal Beheter, you started to eat before the Zman comes, so technically for Kriya Shema you have to stop. Is D'Oraisa. Technically possible if you're Hiskal Beheter on a Mitzvah D'Rabbanan, and Tefillah, according to most post-Mitzvah D'Rabbanan, therefore you'd be allowed to continue eating. However, the Mishnah Berurah decides over here that the real halacha is that you have to stop, even if you're in the middle of eating a meal before Alos HaShachar, you have to stop in order to daven. What's the basis for this chumrah over here? That only applies even though tefillah is Rabbanan or Machmir over here. I will explain that in Ian to lean on. Vav afilu lilmod asra mishagias man tefillah. Even to learn, you thought learning is a great thing. No. Those masmidim will wake up before davening. It's not so pasha that you can just learn before davening. I knew you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Alos HaShachar is already passed. They have minyan at 7:30 in your yeshiva. Could you learn? You can't learn, apparently. It's getting a little loud outside, a lot of honking. Even if this is talking about someone who, the spal basement rasha. Apparently, someone has a basement in his house. He davens at home. He doesn't go to shul because no one's going to remind him of dav, nikol, mechash, dilma, masha, begir. So he hours man kriyash on the field. He's so involved in his learning, he'll miss kriyash man tefillah. Misharagil leilach beis hakneses mutter. If you have the minhag to go to a shul, to a specific minyan, so then it's mutter because you'll remember this is the time for my minyan. Now, I remember asking a posek, my Rosh Hashiva, what if, on different days you go to different minyanim? Some days you go, I used to be, my parents in West Hempstead, I used to go sometimes to 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I would switch every day. So he says you have to have a chazakah, you have to have 3 times that you go to that minyan, and you have to keep on planning to do that. So I thought it was a little machmir, but I think just in general, if you plan on going to shul, then you'll have in mind to go to shul, whatever min you're going to go to. If you're a teacher to other people, even if you don't normally go to shul, it's mutter. Teaching other people is a great thing. So I can learn because I teach a lot of other people. If they don't learn now, right? So I could technically give my YouTube shiurim before Shacharis because this is the only time they get to learn. We don't have Bittul Torah. Zayin mutter at least stop early kinds of merchas samach l'Shacharis. You're allowed to get a haircut, and you're also allowed to go into the spa, to go into the jacuzzi before Shacharis. Shelo gazra or the mikvah. Shelo gazra al samach l'mincha shu davar hamatzah. We'll see by Hilchos Mincha, right? The Gemara in Shabbos says that there's 6 things you're allowed to do before you daven mincha. 2 of them are getting a haircut and going to the merchats. That goes by mincha by shachar, so when it goes there, even though it's technically the same problem, you might get involved in these things for a long time and miss the zman tefillah for shacharis. Still, they will only go there in a case where people normally get haircuts. People normally get haircuts before mincha. No one gets a haircut at 5 o'clock in the morning. Chet b'shas hadchak yom sheshach lahashkem l'derech yachol ispal mishalam l'shachar. When you're stuck, right, you can daven right on Murah Shachar, even though technically it's only with Diavad. V'yamtim and likros kriyash machi has mana. It's better to daven Shemona Esrei right away. It doesn't take 72 minutes to daven. And then you say kriyash ma when man kriyash ma comes, which is right before Neitzacham. I mean, afshal likros kriyash ma l'derech dainu she's kaven pasuk rishon monish spidar le'el siman ches. What are we talking about? He has to go on the Long Island Railroad. He has to go to work very early in the morning, so he has to get up early. So it's better to daven tefillah because kavan is really important by tefillah. So therefore, you'll daven at home after Mona Shachar. And the training say Kriya Shema. How hard is it to just pay attention with the first pasuk? Even though he's losing on smichas gula tefillah, which is very important. You're losing out. Hachi ada. This is better. Tfei sheyispal b'beis ha'umah mashi yispal b'zman who mahalach v'yismach gula tefillah. It's better to daven at home where at least you're having kavan, and to daven on the way. Right, when you're on the train, we'll see you're allowed to sit down and say and daven Shmona Esrei technically. Problem is you're not going to have kavana when you're on the Long Island Railroad because a lot of those people are always coming and nagging you to see that you paid. So it's always going to disrupt your kavana. So Kriyat Shema, it's easier to have kavana. Tefillah is much harder to have kavana. We know so much about how much work and effort people put into their kavana and tefillah. We'll begin to shed light on that in today's Ian to lean on coming up next.